was I going to change degrees? Was I going to carry on with it and hate my life? And that really got me thinking, how am I ever going to know what I want to do with my life if I don't know who I am?
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding a road job.
What is up, you absolute weapons? Welcome to the next episode. This is None of Your Business, a podcast that inspires future generations to build their dreams one day at a time. My name is Calvin Branson, and I'll be sitting down with entrepreneurs from all walks of life to talk about their successes, failures, and how to make an impact. And just a quick shout out to our sponsor for today's episode. Thank you, Eminem Music Academy, for letting us use the studio space. On today's episode, we are joined by the big king himself, Ben Dryden. Ben started his first company at 18 and since then has expanded to run 3 different companies. We speak about some of the challenges he's faced as a young entrepreneur and his 1-month sabbatical in Uganda. So tell us, Paul, what is your business? What do you do today?
Thanks so much for having me, Big King. So first and foremost, I just like to start us off by saying I'm a car guard. Started a car guarding agency.
We love that.
No, I'm kidding. So, I mean, which one? There's a couple.
Tell us about all of them. We want to know. We want to know everything. We got time.
Okay, don't worry about it, sweetheart. So, basically, started my first company at 18, and that was a corporate branding company. How it all started was my parents were like, "Listen, you're 18, you're going to uni now. We're not going to give you money besides for the essentials. Like, we'll pay for your food, you're staying at home, that's that." So I was like, okay, well, if I want to go out for a drink on Friday, can you give me money? They're like, no. If I want to travel, will you give me money? They said, no. So I was like, okay, so I want to do those things and a couple other things as well. So I need to find a way to make money. So started up a corporate branding company. And how that came about was they were like, listen, we want to do a whole bunch of shirts for our company. Can you have a look at getting those done for us? So I was like, cool. And
was this for your parents' company?
Yeah, this is for my parents. So this is how it started, how the idea came about. And I was going to go through a registered reseller. So you can't go directly through a supplier for promotional clothing or whatever it is. You either have to be a registered reseller or go through a middleman. And I got a whole bunch of quotes from middlemen and they were trash. Like they were putting 30 Rand, they were putting a markup of 30 Rand per product. And I mean, then I have to put a markup on that. So technically, I'm putting a double markup on. Makes no logical sense.
Crushing your margins.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take them out of play. So wrote up a business plan and presented that to the wholesaler, the supplier, and became a registered reseller myself. So that was the birth of Aquaco, and that was my branding company, which I started at 18.
Oh yeah, so you're thrown right in the deep end there, but it blessed you in the long run.
It had to be done. I mean, I got to get bread at the end of the day. I don't want to be sitting at home like twiddling my thumbs on a Friday night. If some girl's like, do you want to go on a date? I'd be like, oh yeah, but are you paying? That's just not going to happen. Yeah. So that was the first one. And then there've been a couple more recent developments. So I'm starting a clothing line called the Drift Line and been designing those concepts from first year as well. And really struggled to find suppliers, found a really good supplier in Cape Town now. So samples on the works, and you heard it here first, December, Drift Line coming to you.
I was about to ask, when are we dropping? So December is when you're dropping the first line.
So yeah, that's the one thing, or the second thing. And then third thing.
Jeepers, how long is this list?
Got to diversify your portfolio to maximize returns. That's all it is.
We don't hate it.
So third one is very exciting. Partnered with a friend of mine in New York. And we have started a company called Intelli-Z, and it's a superior international market intelligence company. So basically focusing on your small to medium enterprises in Europe and the US, and they're wanting to get global exposure and move into Africa. So it's basically your one-stop global expansion shop.
Yeah. Okay, and then with Driftline and Aquaco, what were the kind of initial investments on those two?
So Aquaco was actually pretty cool. So I'd never had to put any capital up as like a startup capital investment. And that was purely based on the fact that I would invoice my customers and they'd have to pay a 75% deposit on their order. And generally the 75% deposit covered the cost. So the remaining, 25%? That was all profit for me. So I never had to source capital because the client would have to pay me first before.
Okay. Yeah,
before
I like that
the
structure.
deal went through.
I like that structure. Okay,
so
cool.
yeah, I didn't have capital. I was 18, just out of school, had nothing. So it was the perfect business plan for me.
Okay, so obviously you have an entrepreneurial spirit.
I mean, maybe a little.
Just a little bit. With 3 companies, we don't hate it. But what would you say is your passion? Is there one of the 3 that's more your passion than the others? Or is there something else is your passion, which you may be getting to later in life? What would you say is your passion at the moment? So, something that you could see yourself doing for the rest of your life.
To be honest with you, I just love people. I love interacting with people. And that's the thing about business. Business is all about people at the end of the day. Sure, you got to have a good product and you got to be able to sell it, but you're selling to people. You're not selling to a brick wall or a robot. And that's the thing I love about business. And to be honest, I don't know if there's like a set niche that I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to be involved in this. I'm really interested in mergers and acquisitions. So I think that would kind of be a passion, but I'm still exploring that avenue. But all in all, I just love business. I love people and I love the interaction with people. I love the philosophical thinking behind it, the negotiation, the deal making.
Yeah,
that excites me.
Maneuvering those relationships and finessing those situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all basically one complex game, if you get me. So
the way I see it when it comes to dealing with people and like relationships, it's like it's one big sale.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're trying to, negotiate a sale with them in terms of this, or you're trying to form a relationship with them and you selling, your value as a potential partner or whatever the case may be. So how did you link with this friend in New York? What's the story there? Is it someone you knew from South Africa, or how did you form that relationship and that business partnership?
So this is a bit of a crazy story. I really wanted to get involved in the luxury industry and had no idea how to do that. So I was like, what is the best luxury company in the world? My opinion, it's Louis Vuitton, all day. So I went on LinkedIn and I reached out to every single Louis Vuitton employee I possibly could. I specifically targeted their HR and marketing teams. So that was my target market, but every single other Louis Vuitton employee I would go and connect with. And I thought, okay, cool. I've connected with a couple hundred employees. What's the point? Cool. I can have them in my connection bank, but I need to reach out to them. So must have sent about 50, 60 messages to Louis Vuitton employees. And it was all basically a generic thing, just changed the name and said, look, I'm really interested in your industry. I'd love to learn. I'm prepared to work for free. I just love to get exposure. I'm hungry to learn and acquire knowledge. So out of the 60, I think 5 or 6 replied to me. Crazy though, the first person that replied to me is now the CEO of Tiffany & Co.
No
How
way.
insane is that? And he literally was like, thanks so much for taking the initiative to reach out. I'll send you through to the head of HR in Paris and you can have a Zoom meeting with them. The next day I had a Zoom meeting with the head of HR in Paris. So that's how it worked.
Did that lead somewhere?
Honestly, we ended up having 3 or 4 calls just chatting about opportunities within Louis Vuitton. And this was mid-COVID, so there's no ways I could have traveled around or moved around anywhere. So that didn't lead anywhere. But out of the 6 people that replied to me, one of them turned out to be my business partner.
Okay.
So she replied and was like, cool, listen, you can have a look at all our potential opportunities online. But if you want me to go through your CV and we can have a chat, I'm more than happy to do so. So I was like, okay, like, why not? What have I got to lose? So we had a chat, went really well. We got along super well and had another Zoom call the next week, another one the week after. And we just clicked and we had very similar vision in terms of expansion into Africa and all the opportunities and missed opportunities in Africa. So that's how it all started. And we started chatting about business opportunities and we're like, okay, cool. Why didn't we, instead of just chatting about them, provide solutions to them? And that's how Intelli-Z was born. It was basically a solution to be able to help companies globally expand into Africa.
So you slid into the LinkedIn DMs.
I just slid into the DMs and that was it. Yeah. So
we love that. What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges that you've faced so far in any of the 3 companies that you've got going?
So I think just in terms of myself as an individual, which obviously relates to my companies, I have so many ideas all the time and I want to do them all, but I can't. And often that leads me to spread myself too thin. So it's basically my mind playing games with me saying, oh, but you got to do this as well. You got to do that as well. But I can't do it all.
You're only one man, yeah.
Exactly. And I run the risk of spreading myself too thin. So that's why I'm wanting to focus on these things now. I've got too many ideas. So that it's a good thing and a bad thing in a sense.
Rather too many ideas than no ideas at all.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah. So
Did you ever find it difficult, like these more experienced people that you're working with? Did you ever feel like they didn't take you seriously?
100%. 100%. That's why I would always try and email or phone the people. I never wanted to meet in person. Because whenever I'd pull up there, at 18, I also wasn't dressing well or anything like that. So I'd pull up there. They see this little 18-year-old kid walk out of his Mazda 3 and they like, sorry, are you meeting me on behalf of someone else? Like, who's Ben? I was like, no, I'm Ben. And they'd be like, okay, alrighty. Yeah. So I just saw the looks on people's faces so many times. They're like, oh, what is this kid doing? But it was cool.
What would it look like for you to sit back and feel like you've made it? You know, you as Ben Dryden, what would that look like for you?
I don't think I'm ever going to sit back and say, look, I've made it. This is me. I've arrived. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I think it's because I get bored way too easily. I could never retire and be like, okay, cool, I'm going to play golf every day. I love playing golf, but
that sounds
I also get bored of golf. So I don't think there's ever going to be a time where I sit back and say, okay, cool, I'm done. Like, I have countless dreams. If I had to sit back and relax, I mean, I would be in a castle in the south of France. So if you want some context with me making it, there we go.
Okay, so a castle in the south of France.
With a G-Wagon. Okay, a couple of G-Wagons. Yeah, okay, come on. You can have matching castles. What do you mean matching G-Wagons? Matching castles.
Done. Can I sign the contract now? It's finished.
None of your business. Let's go. You heard it here first.
So you have these 3 companies. What are some of the visions you still have for some of them? So obviously with the Drift line, vision you have is to get these, the different lines going in December. Then you said you have a few more coming after that.
Yeah.
And eventually leading to, you know, some bigger things, websites, whatever the case is. Intelli-Z, still very new. So I'm guessing vision would just be, you know, get things going, get a few clients on board, build up a client base and take things from there. Do you have some visions for Aquaco? You've had that for a minute. What's the structure there? Do you have some visions for that one?
It's not my long-term vision to continue with it. To be honest, it was easy money. And as a student, you love easy money. But it's not my passion. I don't want to sell corporate clothing and pens and whatever it is for the rest of my life. That's not my passion. So in terms of vision, it was an easy student job. And to be honest, I'd like to move on to new things.
Okay,
now.
So you're somewhat letting that one go.
Like it's
your efforts elsewhere.
Yeah, it's still there, but it's not my main focus at the moment. Like I'll do a deal here and there, and I mean that just supplements money,
some cash flow.
Yeah. Otherwise than that, it's not my main thing. But I think in terms of vision, I've got some big vision for both Intelli-Z and the Drift line. I think with the Drift line, my whole thing is I've seen a lot of friends start up clothing companies and they'll sell a few t-shirts here and there. And at the end of the day, you're making a sale. I don't want to make a sale. I want to build a brand. And my whole thing is cool. I can make a sale. I can sell 50 to 100 t-shirts to friends and family and to a few odd people here and there, see it on Instagram. But I don't want that. Like, I want to build a brand that people can relate to. I want to build a brand that people can associate themselves to. And
that's also sustainable.
Yeah, exactly.
Friends and family only take you so far. And would you say you're happy at the moment?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked with where I am at life right now. Got a lot that I still want to accomplish and a lot that I'm not happy about in terms of my accomplishments. But in terms of who I am, I'm really happy. And I'm not going to lie to you, a few months back, I was not happy at all. I had a whole internal crisis going on. I was like,
do you mind sharing a bit about it?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So
just like I don't know what was going on, how you came out of it, because you said it was a few months back.
So I just had this whole dilemma going on. What am I doing here? Like, who am I as a person? And my whole thing was I was going into my final year of uni and I wasn't enjoying what I was studying. And
that's a tough time to realize you're not enjoying what you're studying in your last year.
That's the thing. So I didn't know what I was going to do in terms of my career. Was I going to change degrees? Was I going to carry on with it and hate my life? And that really got me thinking, how am I ever going to know what I want to do with my life if I don't know who I am? Yeah, I needed to get out of my comfort zone, which is PE. I grew up there. I went to school there. I went to uni there. And when you're in a comfort zone, you can never grow.
Yeah. 100%.
And I said to my parents one day, I was like, I need to leave. I decided to disappear from society and go live in Uganda for a month. I deleted all forms of social media. I did not know a single person there. Obviously didn't speak the language, and it was the best experience of my life. I just disappeared from everyone and everything that I knew. And the great thing about it was I got to do so much introspection into who I am and what I actually want to do, just because I took out every single external influence in my life. I didn't have my parents saying, do this. I didn't have my friends saying, do this. I didn't have anyone giving me their opinion. And that was the best thing ever, because then I actually got to listen to myself. Because at the end of the day, there's so much white noise and trash that people talk, oh, do this, do that, do that. They don't actually care. They don't actually know who you are. So the best thing is to listen to yourself, not anyone else. And sure, that may be scary, but to be honest, people just think it's so scary because they're scared to actually look within and see what comes out. So yeah, I did a lot of introspection, thinking about what I want to do, and I figured out my end goal at the end of my life.
I just need to figure out how to get there.
And now I need to figure out the paths.
And you said one of your main goals was to figure out who you are. Did you accomplish that, or what was the lesson there?
I didn't figure out who I am, but I came to a conclusion about it. And that conclusion is that I'm never going to find out who I am. And the reason behind that is, if you think about yourself 2 years ago, were you a different person?
110%.
Think about yourself 5 years ago, were you a different person?
Yeah, fair.
10 years ago, and we can go on. And I look at myself all these years ago, achieving these different things in my life, and I'm a different person at every single stage. I'm never going to be one version of myself, because then I'm not growing.
Yeah, so in closing the podcast, what is one success nugget, if you will, that you could give our listeners? You know, a piece of gold that a young entrepreneur can potentially hold on to.
So I think it's not going to be like a businessy type thing saying, oh, you got to do this or whatever. It's actually from my grandfather. He told me this, I think I was about 8 or 9, and I've never, ever forgotten it. And this quote is based on people. In order to be interesting, you have to be interested. And that's that. There we go right there. If you think about it, if I had to come have a conversation with you, I know you've asked all the questions now, so it's a bit of a different thing. But if you show no interest in someone, they're not going to care about you. They're never going to want to chat to you again.
Yeah, of course. Someone's most engaged when you asking them stuff, you questioning them, or showing
show them that you care. Show them that you're interested. Yeah. People want to relate to you, and the way you relate to people is by showing your interest in them.
Yeah, fair.
That's it. So that's my little bit of sprinkling of salt on the top. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That's aware. Sure, well, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm very excited to see how Intelli-Z does. I'm definitely copying some things from the drip line.
You know what it is. There we go.
But yeah, thanks again, boy. I appreciate you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
That's it for this week's episode of None of Your Business. Thank you so much for watching and listening. You can support the show by following our socials at None of Your Business Pod on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I appreciate the love, and I'll see you guys next week, Monday at 5 o'clock South African time.